Writing. My name is Lara Culye. I'm a licensed and regulated immigration consultant. I work alongside Culye Immigration Services, and Culye Immigration Services, in their several years of establishment, have been able to achieve 80% success rate. I think that's remarkable. So if you'd like to seek advice, representation, or consultation, you can rely on Culye Immigrations. Thank you for joining. I see BC online and every other person that has joined. Thank you for joining. We'd like to know where you're joining from, so please feel free to send us the chat. We'll be looking out for that. All right. Now let's go into today's discussion. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about the 5 tips on invitation to apply for PR through Express Entry. 5 tips on how to get quick invitation to apply for PR through Express Entry. All right, for those that are not familiar with what Express Entry is, I would like to say something that Express Entry is a system. It is not a program. It is not an immigration stream. It is a system that allows you to apply to Canadian immigration. Now, for Canadian government, they use Express Entry system in order to check out those that are eligible candidates that are already in the poll. So the poll is like a very big system that allows thousands and thousands of people all around the world to be able to open themselves up and to Canadian government to be selected for permanent residence. Now, for Express Entry, there are a lot of things that have been considered. If you want to start your Express Entry profile, you'll be asked several questions like your age, your date of birth, your marital status, your education, your experience, your language scores, and all of that. Okay, the rule of thumb is that whatever you want to put on your main application when invited is advisable. It's the exact thing you put on your Express Entry profile, because this profile is transferred to your main application when you're invited to apply. I have several clients that have approached me and they had issues with not being able to meet up with what they said they had on their profile when they got invitation to apply. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. All right, so having said that, you will need your English language scores and also your education credential assessment to be able to create an Express Entry profile. Did you know that there are more than 70 immigration programs, Canadian immigration programs out there? So for you to be able to know which one matches the profile takes a little while and takes expertise, right? But the challenge is you have to have or meet the requirements before you can use any of these programs. On Express Entry, you would need to create a profile to be able to join the pool. And to create a profile, you need your education credential assessment, like I made mention before, and also your English language proficiency scores. I didn't say English because Canada is a bilingual country and it has both English and French. So you can either take English as your main language test and also take French as a supporting language test, the second one, or you could take French as the main one and then take English as the supporting one. All right, so when you have your test report, when it's ready, you'll be able to create a profile with your education credential assessment, which is called the ECA. For you to get the ECA, there are different bodies you can approach for it. We have WES, which is World Education Services. We have IQS in Alberta, Canada, where I reside. And we have so many other bodies too that allows you to evaluate your credentials to see what it rates or what is being seen at in Canada. When you have this, you create a profile, and that's how you go into the poll. So I'm not going to dwell so much on that today, but what we're going to be talking about is how to get a quick invitation to apply. The motive of going for Express Entry, the motive of trying any other stream apart from express entry is to get an invitation to apply, is to be able to apply for your permanent residence. That's the ultimate. So to get that, I would want to emphasize on one word that encapsulates every point I'm going to make today, and that word is competitiveness. Competitiveness. It's not just enough to be eligible. So many people go after being eligible. It's not just enough to be eligible. It's better to be competitive, because you're going into a pool that has thousands and thousands of people from all around the world. It's not going to be just one country. It's not just going to be your city alone. It's all over the world. And they apply. They send their applications into this pool. So what's going to make you stand at the top or come out of the league of those that have similar credentials as yours, or have almost same experience as yours? What's going to make you stand out from this group of people? And that's the word competitiveness. Now, for us to be competitive, the first thing I would say is leverage on your age. So many people have asked me, well, Lara, how do I go about it? I'm 45 years old, I'm 40 years old, I'm 39, I'm 35. The truth of the matter is we can't adjust our age. We have to be very sincere with what age we have, how old we are, right? But you can leverage on this age. And how do I mean? Leverage on your age by applying on time. Leverage on your age by applying at the age you are right now. Because the more you postpone it, the more you grow older. Did you know that when you, at every birthday you celebrate, you lose 5 points? And that's 5 points for those that are not up to 40 years old. If you're up to 40 years old, you're losing more than 5 points. So even if you're 41, even if you're 42, you're still going to get some point, at least if you apply on time. They will get a point in time that your age might not necessarily give you some scores. So that is why I would say, I'll go to the next point that says, harness all paid experiences. Harness all paid experiences. That's going to be my second point. Now, if you want to harness all paid experiences, what I really mean is you ensure that you use all the paid experiences you have. I have a client that approached me at some point in time. He had been trying to get an invitation to apply for so long a time. He stayed in the pool for a year. He had to create another profile again, but still he wasn't getting invitation to apply. And he was wondering what's going on. Every other person around him was getting invitation to apply. So when he came to us at Culye Immigrations, we were able to check out his profile to see what he had had in the past. This man already had experiences that could serve the purpose of getting him competitive within the past 10 years. That means from 10 years till the time he was trying to apply, he could still use any of those experiences, but he didn't value it. He thought, oh, it's not a very high-class experience, it's not as much as better, it's not as good as the one I'm doing now, or the experience I have now, so he didn't bother considering it. But when we went through his profile, we were able to encourage him to consider it, and he considered it. And after that, he was invited to apply by a province to apply. So he got a provincial nominee, which was good. So I would just want to encourage us to do what you harness all paid experiences that you have. Okay. So when I say paid experiences, it could be internship. I've seen so many people that are not fresh graduates, but they've had just a couple of years of experience, and you're wondering how are they going to meet up. I'll just tell them, have you done internship before? Have you even worked before you even started your graduate studies? Do you know there are some programs that allows you to use even your secondary education to apply? So harness your all paid work experiences. I also want to emphasize on go with a job in demand. Now, it's possible you might have worked as an admin person before. You later got promoted to maybe a production department. You switched your role and you started doing something more fancy or fun. What is fancy or fun might not necessarily fetch you good points in immigration. So you need to know what Canada needs, so you can understand better. If you're applying for permanent residence in Canada, Apart from family sponsorship, Canadian government is expecting you to make Canada a better place, and that's why it's called economic immigration. So they are expecting you to have good work experience, expecting you to have good education, expecting you to be able to communicate with those you'll be working with. And that's why you'll be coming into Canada as permanent resident under economic immigration stream. Alright, so when you want to apply, even if your cutoff doesn't reach the cutoff score of what it's been acceptable at that point in time, you could enlist the job in demand. There are different jobs in demand in different provinces that you can explore. So when you explore these and know what job is that is in demand, one is going to help you in choosing what province you want to relocate to while creating a profile. And two is going to make you visible to these provinces because they need that job description, then they will come for you. Okay, the third thing I'm going to mention under a nursing or paid employment is that you confirm your NOCs. So many people assume that, oh, my job title in my country is the same thing as the job title in Canada. It is not. You need to check the NOC to see that your job title matches what Canada calls the job title. It's possible you're called a manager in your current role and all you're doing in Canadian standard is just admin assistant. So you need to go through the NOC to be sure that the job you think you would use or that will be useful for you is in line with the right NOCs. For express entry, the NOCs that are accepted are NOC 0, A, and B. So if you do not have any work experience in the category of NOC 0, A, and B, that's not the end of the road, but express entry is not the right choice. So you might want to choose another immigration channel to be able to apply through, okay? So confirm your NOCs. Confirm your NOCs. Some some jobs are more important than others. I can remember one of our clients that had customer service experience, right? And she also had administrative assistant experience. Okay, so when she came to us and she was like, I want to apply for permanent residence, I made her understand that even admin assistant could weigh more than your customer service experience, especially if it's not a supervisory role. So for you to get a job as well, you need to focus on what serves you right or what purpose or why you want the job. And please, I've heard a lot of people telling me, I'm going to quit my job so I can start doing or working on my Canadian immigration. Do not quit your job. You really need the experience. You really need the time. It goes a long way to help you. All right. Okay, so that goes to the point that keep working more and more. It offers you more work experiences. All right, so I will now want to go on to the third point of competitiveness. Third point of competitiveness is use all your credentials. And when I mean all your credentials, I mean all your academic credentials, not professional credentials, academic credentials. All right, use all the credentials you have. I remember one of our friends who is a veterinary doctor, a client and a friend who is a veterinary doctor. She had she had entry to practice. She just had a BSc, and she was wondering if she could use that to come into Canada. Of course you could, but you could get a master's degree point for a BSc certificate. It all depends on what kind of profession you're into. So professions that are entry to entry into professions that entry into practice professions, they can actually use their BSc certificate and get master degree points. Also for HND graduates out there, it's not the end of the road. As a matter of fact, you could get more points on your diploma certificate than having just HND. So when you evaluate your credentials, it helps you understand. Like one of our clients evaluated his HND certificate to use. We realized that it could give him more than one academic credentials. So check that out as well. And next, everything you have, because you might have more than you think you do. All right, even PGD, you know, pre-degree diplomas, try to add it to it. All right, under education, I also want to say that, like I said, some BSc point qualify for master's degree, and all academic credential counts. At least it counts up to you as evaluating your credentials to be able to know and to be sure that it counts. But I can tell you it does count. All right, so I would say explore other language test options. We're going to be talking about the language test now. So many people have asked us, oh, must I take English before I can come to Canada? Most of Canadian immigration streams, like almost 90% of Canadian immigration streams, will require you to have English proficiency. However, what they require for each one differs. Some require more proficiency, while others require lesser proficiency. So if you know you're not too good in English, you need to get a stream that doesn't require very high scores from you. And if you know that, oh, I'm very sure my English is fine, then you can go for streams that allow you to have a high proficiency. But of course, they expect you to make Canada better, and there's no way you could do that without communication. So communication does not only end on English language, you could communicate in French as well. So that's valid. So those are the two valid languages in Canada. I'm also talking about exploring language tests. It's not only IELTS that does language proficiency test for Canadian immigration. Okay, so you can do CELPIP as well. CELPIP are in different countries. It's in Canada, it's in USA, it's in South Africa, it's in China, it's in the Philippines. We have so many people that travel out on vacation. So many people travel out on business. Use this opportunity to write CELPIP in another country if you feel IELTS is becoming too tough for you to cope with. I have a client that came in through provincial nomination, and at first she didn't get good scores in her IELTS. She came from a country that she had to struggle to get it done and all of that, and she just noticed that she kept doing IELTS almost 3 times without getting the result she wanted. So she traveled to Canada. Excuse me. Sorry for that. So she came to Canada and she took excuse me, and she took CELPIP test. So when she took CELPIP test, she scored very high in the 4 categories, and lo and behold, she met up with the provincial nomination requirement, and then she's in Canada now. One thing I also want to say about language proficiency test scores is that not all categories rank the same, and Canadian immigration is not looking out for your aggregate. So don't think because I scored an aggregate of 6.5, I'm good, or I scored an aggregate of 7, I'm fine. No. There are 4 categories in English in the English proficiency test, and these categories will test your listening, your reading, your writing, and your speaking. So many people prepare so much on speaking and leave their reading, or they say, oh, I can cope with listening, just to listen and focus on their writing. But the truth of the matter is listening rates higher than the remaining categories. So if you're going to get a good score that makes sense and will give you value for your time and money, you need to work on your listening skills. It's a skill that you have to develop by yourself, not just read from the book like you would do for reading or writing. So you want to put this into consideration. So try to leverage on all these opportunities, and I'm very sure that you'll be so competitive. Okay, thank you. I just saw a message here. Someone said the video is not available. I can't join the video now. Please make it available after. Okay, yes, we'll make it available after. Thank you so much, Lumi, for that. And I'm just gonna check. Okay, all right. Yes, you can get through to Culye Immigrations. We're always happy to have you, and we're always here to help. All right, thank you, Otumba Fashoro. Okay. Oh, Bro Kenny, thank you for joining. I see that. All right. You can send in your questions as well. I can see from here. Send in your questions. I can see another one. Amato, you see. about visual artists. Yes, you can contact us. We'll talk about that, okay? We'll talk about how you can relocate to Canada as a visual artist, all right? So going back to our main point, the 5 tips, we've made mention of leverage on your age, and that's all paid experiences, your education, use everything you have so long as academic, explore your language test option, and lastly, I would say check out eligibility in other immigration streams, all right? Check out eligibility in other immigration streams, because there's not just one immigration stream in Canada. There's not just one immigration stream in Canada. We have like more than 70 immigration streams. So explore. And how can you explore? By searching, by contacting us. We can check that out for you. We'll be happy to do that. All right. And so now I'll say we should send in our questions. Let's send in questions. If you have questions, send in questions now. I'd like to treat your questions. We already took some questions before we started. Thank you, Shokwe. Shokwe said, well done, Lara. Thank you. I'm glad you joined. Thank you. So our friends on Instagram and Facebook, thank you for joining in. We're going to make the video available so you can have opportunity to listen to it for those that have to go to work or get back to work. Thank you for joining us, all right? Now it's time for questions. Okay, I have one question here that we took earlier, and the question was, are applications still being processed amid COVID? Okay, the answer to that question is yes. Yes, yes, yes. I keep telling everyone, every day, everywhere, everyone I meet that submit your application. Don't think because COVID is out there, Canadian immigration stopped. No, it never did. Even all through when COVID was tougher than it is now, it has always been open to everybody to submit your application. The only thing is some applications are given priorities than others. And now, for those that have applied before now and are having challenges with biometrics are automatically being extended. So your applications will not be refused or denied because of biometrics. So don't wait for that. I understand that third parties could affect how fast our application can go, but at the same time, it's better you go on the queue earlier than waiting for the rush, okay? I have another question here. What about relocating to Canada to be a student in a university? That's a good question. If you want to relocate to Canada, I got a question, Oduwole Adebayo, okay? If you want to relocate to Canada as a student, that's a very quick option, probably faster than permanent resident. It will still give you an opportunity to become a permanent resident. So, Oduwole, I'll say contact us. We are happy to help you out with that. We help you out all through the process, even starting from getting your admission in school. Yes, we'll do that. So we're here to we have your back already, so please contact us. Another question here from BC. She says, what is the minimum high ELTS score that will make me competitive? All right, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. The minimum score, the minimum score depends on the stream you're going for. But if you're going to use Express Entry, then you need CLB 7, and that's equivalent to IELTS 6. But like we said, CLB 7 or IELTS 6 we don't make you competitive enough. That's just barely getting you into the pool. So for you to be able to get more scores, we need to check your profile. But the rule of thumb is ensure that you're getting as high as possible. Make sure that your listening is a little bit higher than every other scores. However, don't focus only on listening and abandon the other aspect, because they all work hand in hand. All right. Another question is, how does a visual artist go about it? Yes, I'll suggest you get in touch with us on MotoYoC, because this particular session is for Express Entry and invitation to apply. Okay, there's another one from Ty. He says, is there any specific age for applicants? No. Thank you for that. That's a very good question. There are no age barrier for application. The only thing that can affect your age is that it could reduce your score. It might not give you the highest point score, but they are not going to say that because you are this age you can't come in. Of course, you want to come in at the age you can work if you are using economic immigration stream. So if you are still in a working class age, then economic immigration stream is the best for you. All right. However, if you're older, there are ways we can make it work by enhancing on your family size and family profile. So you can get in touch with us if you feel you've grown past the working class age. I will be able to suggest to you. All right. Another question here says, what are the steps on relocating to Canada as permanent resident with a family of 5? Okay, the basic steps, like we made mention of, depends on the stream you're coming in through. Do you know that there was a nomination? Sorry, there was a selection today on Express Entry. 392 people were selected, and the point they chose was 696. So many people say, wow. But basically, those scores that are higher than 500 are for those that already received their provincial nomination. Because provincial nomination would enable you to get up to 600 points. So you can imagine if 696 was being chosen. That means even if you have 96 points and you get a provincial nomination, that means you'll be having 696 points. However, I'm not saying you should sit on 96 points, okay? But as low as that. So 600 points is from provincial nominations, all right? So you can, for a family of 5, basic thing is you and your spouse. What's your profile? We need to know your ages and all of that to be able to advise. So please get in touch with Culye Immigrations and we'll be able to help you out with that. We suggest, we advise, we represent, okay? That's what we do, all right? We suggest, we advise, and we represent. I've been told I have just 3 minutes to round up. Okay, I'll just pick one more question. Okay, there's another question here saying, is there a minimum educational qualification? The minimum educational qualification is high school, is secondary school. So I'd rather say that if you're educated, there is simply like no minimum. So if you have high school, if you have, and for Canadian immigration, they're not going after your 2-1 or 2-2, or you were the best student in your class, or you were even the worst student. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have an academic credential? Okay, and that's going to help you. Does Express Entry include a work permit? Work permit is temporal. Express Entry covers all. Express Entry helps you live and work in Canada, and that's what Culye Immigration does. We help people relocate, live, and work in Canada. But if you just work permit you want, this session is not about work permit. We're still going to come up with subsequent sessions that will treat all those temporary immigration streams like work permit. So for work permits, you get a work permit, you get a temporary resident visa and a job offer and all of that. So if you want to know more about that, please contact us. Culye Immigration will be able to help you, right? Thank you. Okay, I will give you the contact. Thank you. Kemi is introducing us, referring us to someone. Why Canadian immigration denies someone from entering to Canada? Oh, thank you very much for that question, Aji Kunle Smith. Canada is a two-way entry. Because you got your visa doesn't make you automatically in Canada. As a matter of fact, even if you have a PR visa, it doesn't automatically make you a permanent resident of Canada. You only become a permanent resident when you've landed and you're already in Canada. All right? So it's a two-way thing. If you do not keep the same profile that you kept at the time you got your visa, you will not be allowed into Canada. I've heard some people, oh, my visa has been granted so I can spend all the money I have in my account. Some people are not, some people's accounts are not reconfirmed at entry, some are reconfirmed. So you have to be very careful. There are so many criteria that are being used at entry points. But if you have any challenges with entry, you can always contact us. We'll coach you on those things you need to do. Check back on the applications you've made before. We also do GCMS notes. So if you have applied before and it's taking too much time, you don't know the updates on it, you want to know, or if you have applied before and you're confused about why it was being refused or denied, please contact us. We'll contact Canadian Immigration on your behalf and we'll find out to get a note on your case to be sure why the visa officer did that. Okay, so it doesn't just help you on that particular application, it helps you on subsequent ones. All right, so The last question I'll be taking. All right, I think that'll be all. Thank you so much for joining in. We appreciate you very much.